In this video, we're going to talk about what's going on here with men dropping out of society and men dropping out of the workforce. And we've got some interesting different perspectives from this individual here called Gerbert, who has 165,000 subscribers. And this is his second channel. So he's built two successful channels. He talks about being a white man in America and feeling a bit out of place and dropping out of society to a certain extent. Let's listen to his perspective. Then we're going to learn a bit from Tomi Lahren, like a female conservative commentator. We're going to learn a bit from other men too, Charlie Kirk and his wife here, and we'll learn a lot about men dropping out of society. Let's get started with the first clip.
Whenever two childless women in their 30s and 40s want to lecture me about what I'm doing wrong, I perk my ears up, I sit my black ass down and I listen. So this is called The Rise of Stay-at-Home Sons. Now I've talked about stuff like this before, but let's see what these two snow bunnies have to say about it.
But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less, and if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I gotta tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. That's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
Well, and also with the rise of an AI dating, as they call it, which is sick, it's going to be even easier and perhaps more attractive for these types of individuals to remain behind closed doors. And what does that do to families and young women and dating?
So now you got people that want to literally stay inside and play video games and have AI girlfriends, and that's why we have declining birth rates and a lot of other problems in society. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
All right, very interesting stuff here. So a lot of young men are dropping out, giving up, and not working. This is no secret. What does Fox News have to say about it? It's because, they say, young men are feminized. They're just being bitches. The feminism problem, she says, is the feminization of men. There are lots of young women out there who want to start families. But there are lots of young men out there who just want to sit in mommy's basement and order DoorDash. This is also why there's declining birth rates, they say, because men are just these losers. Now, the first thing is some of this is just completely false. Most young men want to have children. Most young women do not. 40% of young women that want to have children and 60% of young men. That's pretty crazy. That's from Pew Research. I've done a video about it before. Our survey finds that young adults who have never been married say they want to get married someday. A smaller share say they would like to have children someday. Young men are more likely than young women to say they want to have children. 57% versus 45%. And this difference is actually even greater because we have this not sure section over here where women said not sure more, 4%. So if you tally all that together, it's a 16% difference. That's pretty significant. Less than half of young women say they want to have kids. I'm no zoologist, but if you know how nature works, males display and women choose. This is the case with humans. The choosers don't want to have children. So that's why there's declining birth rate, because these hoes are fried. They're operating under this wacky assumption that these hoes aren't fried. Now, there are some good chicks out there. There are some good quality broads, some good huzz, some good quality thotties, but I may as well be...
This guy's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. Sorry, I had to say that. But now, what you have to understand is, and I'm going to have to word this so carefully, right? This society is collapsing, right? We all know it is. But the question is, does this system understand shifting power dynamics? The shifting power dynamics is not going to put the left wing in power, weak, effeminate men in power. It's not going to put a lot of the normie conservatives in power. You're not going to get your standard, bog standard, beer drinking, oh, we only have two genders, I support Trump. Those people are not going to be the people in positions of power. It's going to be the working age men of different races, but predominantly white men, who are going to see what is going on. They're going to see through all the psyops. Now you can see between his background, he likes to have contrasting flags, just to say he can see through all of it, right? You've the rainbow flag, and then you have the LGBT flag, which is liberty, guns, beer, and I forget what the T stands for in that. But the whole point is he's got different flags that are showing that he can see through all the psyops, pushing people, the cultural war, the gender war, pushing people to the left and the right. And the same with this white guy, white American, and myself from Indian background, and maybe you've got other black content creators I've covered on the channel. We can see through all the BS, right? You can't push us in one direction or the other. If you look at the flags behind him right now, he's got a flag of an extreme flag from the Middle East, which I'm not going to name now. You can see it, the white flag. Then he's got the Confederate flag. You know what that represents. But he's also got the Black Lives Matter flag, right? And he starts every episode of his kind of with a brief rap talking about 9/11 in a different way and talking about racial equality and gender equality. The whole point, he's trolling everything because he sees everything as a bit of a ridiculous psyop. And to say this as nicely as possible, when society keeps pushing men, the first kind of approach they take is to ignore it, then they troll it, then they briefly interact with it. And what I see more and more people, more and more men, they're losing their patience. And that whole making jokes and kind of play along with it, oh yeah, my gender pronouns are he, whatever. That's really the final stage before it breaks. Like the social stability breaks, the men lose their temper at a mass scale, right? And you can see all this gaslighting. It's kind of course, you see a lot of the red pill content is running its course where men are losing their patience. They don't need to hear for the 1000th time feminism's bad or men need to step up. It's kind of its course, and I just don't see things ending too well with the way this society is treating men, and that's the nicest way I can put it. Firstly, he talks about these childless women who are actually lecturing men. You've got these conservative commentators. Sometimes you see these conservative commentators, these trad wives, whatever, right? Often there's been cases with Steven Crowder, many others, where their wives are cheating on them, or they're having a divorce and the man loses a lot of money. There's no such thing really as a conservative woman. And that's why the way they talk down to men and lecture men, if they were conservative women, traditional wives, trad wives, they wouldn't be talking like this, right? It's all a front. It's all a theatre show, right? You talk about conservative values, it's very loosely defined. It's just like when men are playing roles that benefit women, that's how they define conservative men, right? Men are playing roles that help women. It's not a different face of feminism. That's all you have here, right? Even though this is Fox News and whatever, they're not really that conservative. Now, the question is, what do young women have to choose from? Well, systems kind of men in a very difficult position. It's put men in survival mode. So why would a man carry an extra burden of a woman? You have a relationship in many cases. It's just like an additional burden. That's why you have to really think that through carefully as a man. Now, what do men have to choose from? She's asking how a woman don't have much good quality, high value men to choose from, right? Well, what do men have to choose from? You have a career woman, you have a consumer woman who wants to spend a lot of money, or the career woman who doesn't want to have a family, sees it as a lower priority, or you have a promiscuous woman, right? Are these good choices, right, for women? There's three types of women you typically interact with: the career woman, the consumer woman, and the promiscuous woman, right? So it's just like, those aren't good choices for men. She's having this kind of meltdown. What's funny, if you look back over the last few years, maybe 2017, 2018, this woman, Lahren, you can see right here, or depending which way you're looking at, right or left, she was actually on, she made a video on YouTube and Twitter where she was whinging after she came home from a date, and the man she went on a date with just wasn't good enough. She just can't find any good men. And I just have a hard time believing that, particularly in the social circle she's probably in as a TV commentator, right? She's probably around many multimillionaire men. She probably doesn't want to play her gender role as the woman in the relationship. She probably wants to focus on her career, even though she's a conservative woman. And if she wants to focus on her career, she probably doesn't seem having a family or having kids as that higher priority. And when you see some of these career women who they want some element of traditionalism and strong men, what they want to do is focus on their career, have a wealthy man who's going to pay for childcare while she can have the best of all worlds. She's going to work her career, the kids are going to be raised by expensive childcare, then she doesn't have to cook meals, they can pay a maid to do the cooking, and which is fine to a certain extent, but it's like, you're not really fulfilling any of your gender role. It's just a theatre show. And you see this on the left and the right? It's just like a theatre show for a lot of these women and some of these fake guys acting like conservative traditional men, which we'll come on to in a moment. The key point here is the right just barely appeals to men slightly more than the left, right? As a man who's maybe broadly speaking conservative or right wing, it's a bit more friendly to you. Oh, we should have gender roles. Oh, men shouldn't be disrespected. Oh, a country has to have borders. We need to be more pro-family. We need to have an element of traditionalism and stop brainwashing kids. It's just slightly appealing more to you, but it's still pushing you in a position where it doesn't make sense. Like when the divorce rate is quite high, it's just like completely things. So, I mean, is right, these women live quite a privileged life and they're just talking heads. Now, this is what I mean. Right wing or left wing, it's the same thing, right? You've got these trad cons, or should I say trad cucks on the right, these cuck conservatives, and then you have these liberal cucks, literal cucks on the left. So it's like, how is this meant to really appeal to men? And you know, the power base of any country is the working age, military age man, right? So if you're not appealing to them, you're done, right? And Trump is just barely appealing to those men, and he's not even doing a lot to serve them. And you see the backlash against Trump in recent weeks and months. It's like, okay, are you actually do anything that's going to help us? Because that's going to lead to social instability in the streets, right? You know, just leave it at that. So the thing is, it's like the role of men in this society, or how is it serving them or giving them a viable social contract to keep participating in it, right? Because it's like a left-wing guy who's more like a feminist bugman, the last man, the soy boy type of stereotype. Or if you're on the right wing, it's like, oh, you gotta be a traditional guy and do the right thing. And it's like, well, that's not actually working for me either. There's no real political solution for a lot of men. Men are kind of in society, and there's zero accountability for their talking points, right? And what they're doing. I don't want holding these women to any sense of accountability, because, you know, a woman's kryptonite, right? So, you know, about these statistics, less than 50% of women want to have kids or something like that. And I see it at work throughout society where, you know, we want to give up any aspect of the special privilege they're getting in the workplace, in society, to go and be wives and mothers. They see it as an inconvenience, so that the man has to spend money to make up for her lack of willingness to do that, which would be, like I say, hiring a cleaner, hiring a cook, hiring a maid, hiring childcare, whether she should actually be more humble and focus on that, even though they might have less money as a married family if she decides to step away from the workplace, right? Now, I do want to give a shout out, as he mentions here, to the thotties, as he mentioned, right? You know, people engage in that type of lifestyle, right? At least they're being more honest about it. You know, pro-activist for people living their lives how they want to live it. I'd rather consider those more respectable women, because at least they're honest about who they are and what they're doing, compared to this fake act that you see on your screen right now. So I just want to compare and contrast this with this particular who's talking about how he's feeling out of place in the workforce.
As I'm growing older, I'm just seeing like all the jobs I work at like don't really mean much, like just pay my bills and helps me like stay up and pays for the roof on my head, but it's like, what else does it give? And I think that's what a lot of people are realizing is like, you get like 25 or 30 bucks an hour, not more, maybe even 100 grand, but it's like, shit, what can I get with it when everything is so expensive these days? Houses are 500 grand and they're shitty. In some areas maybe 300 grand, and depending on the area, but it's like, is it really worth it for some house? You're paying so much for just like to like own, and like all these taxes and insurance and bills. It's just like, holy shit, what am I even working for? And that's why I'm just seeing like a lot of homeless people like that just give up. Like
then of course we have wages that aren't keeping up. When a full-time job barely pays the bills, people start looking for alternatives. And in today's world, it's entirely possible to piece together gig work, Uber shifts, DoorDash, online side hustles, and still come out ahead, or at least break even. But that also means that millions of men are drifting into informal or inconsistent employment. In other words, underemployment. And again, it is not counted towards official numbers, so it's really hard to track. And when every job feels like it's a dead end or it's underpaid, why bother?
I woke up today and had a realization that I might actually be done with corporate America. Realizing the lack of agency I have over my life, realizing the amount of awful people that I've just been subjected to working under and working with. Like, yeah, honestly.
And let's face it, they're disillusioned. A lot of men feel like they've played by the rules and have gotten nothing in return. Old promises like company loyalty, job security, pensions, and a comfortable retirement are pretty much a thing of the past.
Now, I don't want to knock this guy. He has quite a successful channel. He has about 416K subscribers. But I feel like in an effort to be politically correct, he doesn't kind of lean in what a lot of the real issues are, right? And what are the real issues I'm referring to here? I mean, referring to the like social and cultural changes that have pushed men out the workforce, right? Because men need a sense of purpose. That meaning comes from their purpose in terms of the work they're doing, family, community, nation, all of these things have been destroyed. So much of your identity, in a sense, is external to you, right? And if you can't get anything beyond tax, insurance, bills, and comfort, you know, your video games, fast, whatever that would be, right? Keeping distractions, you know, VR headset type of lifestyle, that's just not going to give people the fulfillment they're looking for, right? And one thing I want to say that is really good here is when he talks about the gig work, right? People piecing together gig work and then maybe building a life that makes a bit more sense for them. And I've seen this work successfully. I know a content creator who was on YouTube and he said some off-color jokes and got kicked off of YouTube, and he was on Rumble. But what he did is he built a very strong following for a podcast he had on pro wrestling. You might know the name Kevin Scampoli or TWFS, and he makes some kind of really out there jokes that, you know, kicked off and things like that. But he had a Patreon, a subscribe star, so people can pay on a monthly basis to be part of his community, and he does extra shows for them. He also was making money on the side doing Uber, and he was actually also mining Bitcoin over a decade ago, right? So before it was a trend, right? So he was making some money from that. He was making some money from YouTube ad revenue, and doing Uber Eats and Uber delivery was allowing him to pursue his passion because he didn't want to work at a standard office job, and you know, have not the cleanest criminal record, right? So the point is he had that flexibility. He put together gig work, making money online, even though that's less conventional. People think about gig work and freelance work when they think about maybe being a web developer or freelance accountant, something like that. But that's a good example of putting together some things that are just from a variety of different income sources so you can have the freedom. Because that's what men want at the end of the day. They want freedom. They don't want social status, right? Men will take many alternative paths to avoid feeling trapped in a dead-end career that doesn't work for them, that doesn't pay well, right? And yeah, that's the thing. This guy, he's making some good points that we see on our screen right now, but he understands the broader social issues, so he doesn't want to discuss it because it's kind of... What's interesting is the comments do get it, and the comments are willing to kind of points. So it says here, no kids, no wife, no family, no real reason to give AF, right? When the game is rigged, the smart move is to not play. Back in the 70s, working hard got you a house, a stay-at-home wife, and a comfortable life. Today, hard work gets you nothing and more than extra work. None of this stuff from before. When my money becomes worthless, my free time becomes more valuable. And that's what I'm talking about. Freedom is being preferred by men, right? Men will prefer their solitude over so-called social status and success in that sense. We have two options: participate in a workforce that doesn't serve us, leave the workforce and watch society burn. I wonder which one we'll choose. Exactly, they're choosing option 2, and that's when I started this video. I was trying to say option 2. Many men are going to drop out and let society collapse. I'm one of those guys, not working, not looking. I'm 43 and I've invested 50% of my paycheck since I was 23. So for 20 years, he's been investing 50% of his paycheck. Rent a small apartment in a small town. My cost of living is almost nothing. I have $500,000 in the market, zero debt, I won, and I'm done. I'm dropping out of society. No car, no house, no wife, no kids, why work? They're not opting out, right? Getting laid off is not opting out. I'm applying for jobs and I can't find any, right? I know multiple people with multiple college degrees like MBAs who are struggling. The issue with the job market isn't about paperwork. The job market is broken on multiple levels. Society said they didn't want these men, so these men dropped out. So society can just whine about it, we'll let it collapse. So basically, a large number of men want to be independent, and your answer is, oh, it's most likely going to fail, so they're just going to have to get back to the cringe corporate BS. I moved to Alaska and built my own house. I have my own electricity, grow my own food. I'm basically retired at 34 years old. Honestly, social instability is probably what we need. So much of our current system is exploitative, toxic, and purely rewarding evil type of people over human decency. A great shake-up is probably needed. It's good that more men are leaving the workforce, so big corporations have to burn before they figure out AI in our society is going into a dystopian hellscape. Now, there's so many different examples of this, and this guy is not going to say that, right? He's not. This is why I have my channel. This is why you come here, right? Because I'm giving the perspective of a man in the workforce who's spent over a decade. You know my background. I don't want to repeat all my experience, where I've worked. I know how the system's rigged. I'll just leave it at that. And these guys are going to give you the cookie cutter advice. They're not going to tell you what's actually going on, right? They're not going to say, well, the workforce is biased against men. So let's go back to these clips and see what we can learn, right? So what do people want, right, from these comments? Just to finish up on the comments point. These men, they want structure, they want purpose, they want identity, they want stability, they want civility, right? But the thing is, right, you can't just blame everything on AI, layoffs. It's deeper than that. It's the LWO, the liberal world order, or the feminist world order that is making things so difficult for men. And it's so obvious. You can't just put everything on, oh, well, it's because of the AI and the layoffs and men just feel out of place. That's not the answer. This is the answer. Let's listen here.
Exists, but I don't know. And here's a little black pill about, young women who do want kids, the churls. There's no real trad anymore. They're on the internet. So even the ones that want families, they're going to be much more selective, much more hypergamous than an actual woman from a century ago. Men aren't giving up on work just because they're lazy bums who want to sit at home playing with a worm and ordering DoorDash. They're doing that because they can't get jobs. Okay, here's why men are not working. It's very simple. There's no incentive structure. The money's not worth anything. You can't buy a house with it. Men used to be able to support a whole family off one income. Now they can't even support their own damn self. I mean, they get by, but not enough to actually build wealth or own anything. It's paycheck to basically saving little pennies. Oh, put it in the S&P. In 30 years, maybe you'll have some. In 30 years, this whole, who knows what shit's going to look like in 30 fucking years. Are you kidding me? Can't build wealth. The dating market is broken. They're not working for a family. If you don't meet somebody in like a very social environment, you could try asking a girl at work. That could go bad. If not, you have to use all these dating apps. That's a nightmare. Also, like half the jobs are slop. They don't even do anything. That's not even a joke. But even if all of that wasn't true, the job market itself, young men can't get a job. They're being replaced by women, by imported people. Take their jobs away, then go, why aren't you working? You're being a bitch. What do you mean? You took the job. The only jobs you can reliably get are like labor, hard, that many women won't do. But then you're out here working, breaking your back, still not to be able to build actual wealth. If you're paying rent, if you're paying for all this stuff. Some of these manual jobs you can make above 6 figures, but that's like, used to be rich. Now that's just what you need to be able to actually purchase a home. And even then you still have to somehow contend with meeting women when you're just working with dudes at what, like a side all day, somehow trying to meet a girl and then building a family after all that. It's just like a crazy line of hoops you have to jump through just for shit that should be normal.
It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
It's all these conservatives have to offer is this normalcy bias. Just giving this same like brow-in repeated advice for an order that has vanished a long time ago. You can't just tell young men to work when they won't get anything out of it.
So again, this guy gets it. This guy gets it. And this is what I mean about being honest about what's actually going on. Again, this guy doesn't get it. This guy's not going to say it. He's not going to say it. He's not going to point out the elephant in the room. And I'm not referring to him. I'm referring to the point of that, like what's gone in society and culture, right? When it comes to the workforce. Now, the big thing, if you remember right-wing Twitter, I don't know if some of you are you're aware of right-wing Twitter back in 2017, 2018, there was a whole thing about the thoughts, right? Where a lot of these trad wives or women who have these right-wing trad views were exposed for sleeping around or selling images of themselves or doing questionable things. Now you can see someone like Lauren Southern has that reputation now, and it's coming out how she was doing different substances, sleeping around, things like that, allegedly, of course, or whatever she wants to say. Now the point is there's no incentive or security or stability for men to participate when they see how the game is rigged. Relationships with women, you can see who's actually benefiting from this society right now. You've got corrupt politicians, you've got migrants coming across the border getting free housing and being able to have large families because that's subsidized by the government. You've got women who get preferential treatment by corporations. You've got the older generation, the baby boomers, who are living on the pensions and having a comfortable life. It's really the men, the working age military men who are suffering and who are going to snap at some point and hopefully it's a peaceful transition of power, because we need a peaceful transition of power to the men who should be leading this country, which would be working age military, right? Like you have ancient Rome, ancient Greek, ancient India, ancient Egypt. It was always those groups that had massive say in how the country was run. Now, if you have no family, you have no freedom of speech, no freedom of movement, in the sense that you have to work in the office, RTO, you can't work from home. Men just want to exit society. They're like, I'm getting literally nothing out of this. Why am I paying 40% tax for what? For that blue and yellow flag? For that rainbow flag? For that climate agenda that you have in place, that the UK government wants to dim the sun because of the climate? I don't know if you looked into that. All this type of nonsense. You're like, why am I paying for all of this, right? Now, the thing is, when the social and community breakdown all around you, right, is like you said, society is completely cooked, right? Migrants are benefiting, automation, and I'm sure some high paid firms and AI are benefiting, career women are benefiting. There's an acronym I have in one of my courses called MAC, Migrants, AI and career women, who tend to benefit from a lot of these type of dynamics, right? Now, also the inflation rate, right? So you've got six-figure salaries, 100K, I would say is like now 80K. I would say if you're living in a major city like London, 150K in terms of dollars, $150,000 is how you can live a very comfortable lifestyle, working those high-paid, stressful jobs that not pay that in many cases, right? In some cases they are, but you can be more junior in your career and you're like struggling kind of with the rent, keep up with some of the living costs. It does really put you on under pressure. You're working for the goal of earning a higher salary rather than being there right now, right? And there's no time freedom sometimes. Sometimes you're earning a higher salary, but you're kind of about, there's only so long you can do that. And what he talks about normalcy, which means, these conservative commentators, they're based on what used to exist decades ago. They don't understand the hell that men are in now. They think, oh, it's getting worse. It's going to get bad. It could get as bad as these guys are saying. But no, it actually is as bad as we're saying right now, right? It's not a future potential thing. It is that bad now, right? It's not like, oh, in a couple of years there's going to be 45% women and 70% men dropping out of society. No, it's like that now. There is really boiling off over a lot faster than people think. It's accelerating. If you're familiar with accelerationism, which is like a philosophy that things are going not well in this system, let it accelerate quickly to collapse. And many people feel this way. And if you look through what the women were talking about earlier in the video, they have a normalcy bias, because everyone you see who's a conservative commentator online or on Fox News or a lot of these type of right-wing channels, even left-wing too, but anyone you see who's having these type of traditional views, they're multimillionaires. Tomi Lahren's a multimillionaire. Candace Owens is married to the son of a billionaire from the UK, and she's a multimillionaire herself. Anyone you see in these conservative talking spaces, they're all multimillionaires. So like, how can they really lecture you on what you should do and what you should think and believe, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to continue this in another video. It's coming up soon in a few days, right around the time of these coming out. I have a batch of videos. But I want to continue with how I can actually help you, right? Because that's what we're really dealing with. It's like going on. And in my course, I teach you career code, link in description, to think like a strategist and act like a worker, positioning. Where are you positioned compared to the global workforce, in your industry, in your team? What is your long-term plan for freedom? Because that's what we're doing here, right? I'm not really just teaching you how to do basic things like, how you do a job interview. I help with all of those things, but it's also the bigger life plan. It's lifestyle design. In many cases, I'm working with candidates who work all over in the world. They might work in Asia, Europe. I've got clients who are working in Dubai right now, earning high six-figure salaries. I've got other candidates who are planning to keep working in the West, but then move to South America. So there's all types of situations to build that long-term freedom for yourself. Now, I'll help you take a career to build power, pay, and freedom throughout my coaching. That's the main way I can help you. I have a course that helps you master office politics and deal with these difficult dynamics. I help you unlock career secrets through my free ebook, which is 48 Laws of Career Power. There's an email list you can sign up for to get 2 emails a week, Monday and Friday, tons of helpful career advice to really give you the secrets of how I made it up to some of those top companies like Goldman, Morgan Stanley at director level. But the way I can help you navigate this crazy world is to build more power, pay, and freedom for yourself, so you have more flexibility and control. You're not subject to the whims of mainstream society and how they try to really manipulate you, or being gaslit by conservative commentators telling you what to believe. So if you really want solutions, individual solutions, there are no political solutions. You see how useless Trump is to help your life. I mean, how will he help you? Yeah, he lowered the price of eggs in America. Okay. I mean, this global conflict in the Middle East, he hasn't ended the conflict in Eastern Europe, which is really impacting you through your tax money. The inflation rate really slowed down. It might be a bit slower in terms of increasing compared to before. Housing's still unaffordable for most people. There's still a broken social dynamic between men and women, right? It's kind of like, as a man, you have to think for yourself to maximize your personal situation rather than waste years of your life on political dreams, right? So 2 linked videos on your screen right now, real talk from me, and I'll see you in the next video about this particular scenario.